this live Q&A. My name is Perri. I am the Accelerator Director of Mastered, and I'm also our co-founder. I'm very excited to have you all here. Just some quick introductions. Again, myself, Perri. You'll see me on the screen with the blue. Over in the corner, we have Chris and Eddie, who I'm going to come on to in a minute. What I would love is, as I've introduced myself, I'm here in London. I would love you guys to introduce yourselves too. So perhaps put your name, put where you're from, put your salon name if you would like. That way everyone can see who else is on the call. So without further ado, I would like to introduce the two gentlemen that you can see. These are two guys who are really some of the brains behind this course. It's an absolute pleasure to be hosting this Q&A with them. So would love to introduce you guys to Chris and Eddie. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves, tell everyone a little bit about you?
Off you go, Chris.
I knew you'd put me first. Hello, my name's Christopher Ray, and I am the Global Education Design Manager for Wella Professionals. I basically have written and worked with Mastered on all the course content. My main job is I kind of sit between research and development, marketing and education. And I look after all trends. IME Care and Style, and Master Colour Expert Studio, and online as well.
Hi, I'm Eddie. I am the Global Capabilities Manager for Wella Professionals. So I have the most exciting job in the world. Whatever these guys design, I get to travel the world and deliver it. Dream job, eh? With regards to Master Colour Expert, I was the MC coordinator in the Wella Studio Dublin for the last 6 years. So MC is kind of my pride and joy. I like to think it's mine sometimes, even though it's not really. But I've seen what it can do for a lot of people in their business, in their personal growth, their personal development. And I'm the person who will be looking after your mentors.
I think as well, it's important to say that we are also both hairdressers. So at heart, that's kind of our background. I come from a design background as well. So before I was a hairdresser, I was a furniture and product designer, which is kind of why now I'm in a design role. And then Eddie has been hairdressing solidly since you were how old, babe?
I was quite late to the field. I was about like 19 or 20, which is quite late for a hairdresser.
That was quite late.
Very much so.
I was 20.
Amazing. Thank you so much, guys. I'm just looking at the comments. We have some, it's massively global. So we've got Reno, we've got Chicago, Michigan, Florida, Rhode Island, San Diego, California, lots of US guys, Canada.
Early stuff for you.
Amazing. We have a really incredibly global community here at Mastered. So for anyone who doesn't know, we have been teaching online for the last 5 years. We've trained about 4,500 people in the area of fashion and beauty. And we have students from over 100 countries. So again, I guess it's welcome to that community, as well as the wider Wella Professional Master Colour Expert community. Mm-hmm. So introductions are done. I'm just going to run you through a little bit about what we're going to cover on this live Q&A. So thank you to everyone who sent their questions in advance. We've been hearing what you've been asking us, and we've been thinking about what we need to tell you in advance. So this Q&A is going to cover 3 main areas. So first of all, I'm going to give you a very quick overview of the course, a top line of kind of how it works and what you're going to be doing at key points. Then I'm going to move over and hand over to Chris and Eddie, and they're going to talk about what expectations they have of you guys. Now, that is an incredibly big part. I would say that's the part you need to listen to most. These are the guys who are going to be accrediting you. They're the people who are going to be testing you on this journey. And so what they have to say here is incredibly important. And then finally, we're going to do a final section about learning online. Now, you might have done this before many, many times. you may have never done a course online before. So what we're going to do is we're going to share some of our own advice, and I would love to hear from you guys as well about what you, I guess, how you found managing your time, how you found managing studies around your own work and your career and your family. Now, I'm going to be checking for questions over on this computer here. So if you see me turn, it's because I'm looking at you. Now, what might happen is that you might ask something and it might not be completely relevant for me to dive in and ask it to Chris and Eddie just then. So please bear with me. We'll try and get everything answered. If we can't, there's plenty of time for us to cover that before the course starts. So don't worry there. Right, so I'm gonna share my screen with you for a minute because I am going to get up some details about the course, and if you will bear with me here while I get this up. Okay, so hopefully, if this has worked, I think we can see it. Fantastic. Always important to make sure the technology goes well. So on your screen, you're going to be able to see like an overview of what's happening across this Master Colour Expert course. Now, as everyone knows, this is online. And so what's going to happen is that your online experience is going to be broken up into 5 parts. Now, as you can see, we've got a welcome module, and then we've got 3 main modules, and then we've got a graduation module. Now, the idea is that you're going to move through all of these modules. And by the end of it, if everything has gone well, you're going to be accredited as a Master Colour Expert. Now, the aim is not just to get you accredited, but it's also to help you be the absolute kind of master of all things colour. We want to help you make sure you make incredible decisions about colour, so that when your clients come in, you're going to be able to know exactly what to do, when to do it, how to do it. That's what we're going to cover. So I'll take the welcome module first. That's going to be an introductory module to make sure that you guys know how the course works. So you're going to learn literally some of the detail about accreditation. You're going to learn how the online platform works. There's going to be videos. There's going to be written content. Again, you're going to be able to go back and review all of that. You're also going to be asked to do a couple of things. So first of all, you're going to be asked to complete a self-assessment. So very simply, you're just going to tell us a little bit about your confidence in certain areas. You're going to tell us the kind of products you like to use. You're going to show us some pictures of your work, and then you're also going to show us a couple of details of your work, and I'm going to come on to that at the end. At the end of that module, you're going to have a call with your mentor. Now, on that call, that mentor is obviously going to welcome you to the program. You're going to get to speak to them for the first time, and they will have reviewed your self-assessment, and so they're going to know a bit about you, and they're going to want to find out more about you. And then in that session, they're going to give you some great steers about where you should focus so that you can set yourself up incredibly well. Now, then you've got these 3 bigger, what we're calling kind of core modules. These are the kind of the meaty parts of the course. Now, what is going to happen there? And this is the next slide, if this works as I intended it to, which it does. Wonderful. So in each of these modules, you're going to do 5 main things. First of all, we're going to give you loads of video content and written content, and you're going to study it, and you're going to learn it, and you're going to digest it. What's going to happen then is that you'll take an online test, so that basically we can test your understanding of those learning materials. You're going to be introduced to lots of different types of theory, of science, of colour, and that test is going to check that you really deeply understand that. Then you're going to do 2 practical assessments. So the first is a model assessment. Now, this is going to be some practical work that you're going to do on a human, on a friend, a family member, a client, maybe one of your co-workers, and we'll tell you what kind of hair you need to do it on. You'll do that work, and then what you'll do is you'll document that process by taking photos and by writing details as well about some of those decisions that you've made, again, so we can see how you've made those decisions. You're then going to upload that all to the platform, And that's something that your mentor is going to be able to see. You're going to do the same thing with your head block challenge. So what that means is you are going to, take a head block, and we're going to set you a brief, and you're going to do some work in exactly the same way as your model assessment. You will take photos, you will write some about some of the decisions that you've made, and you will upload that. Now, the results of that model assessment, the head block challenge, and the online test are going to be visible to your mentor. And then what's going to happen in the last week of every module is you're going to take an accreditation call. Now, this accreditation call, I would say, is like the absolute kind of cornerstone of every module. And so what's going to happen there is that mentor will have reviewed your work. And in that call, they're going to be asking you questions. They're going to delve a little bit deeper into some of those decisions you've made. They're going to ask, they're going to challenge you. And ultimately, out of that call, you will understand whether or not you have passed, which you obviously will, because you're going to be wonderful, whether you've passed or failed that module. You're going to get some feedback on how well you've done. You'll know where you can do differently next time. You'll know how you can improve. But pretty much those 5 kind of core things are what you're going to be doing each module. Now, I'm hoping that has made sense. Chris and Eddie, is there anything else that you want me to add there before I go on to looking at some of the questions that have been asked?
No, I think that sounds good so far.
Yeah, I think as we go through the questions, we're going to cover all of that in a lot more detail. One thing I have to make reference to, I love how you speak about colouring humans, Perri.
It's very important.
As opposed to everything else.
Manufacturers' guidelines.
As opposed to cats, dogs,
fish.
Exactly. I guess I want to make sure that people know that it doesn't have to be their most beautiful model-like friend that they have to get. Just your bog standard human will absolutely do.
And have hair.
But no, we're going to make sure we give you kind of really detailed instructions on exactly what type of human or model we're going to have to work on. So that's a little bit of an overview. And the only question, well, we've got a couple of questions here that I'm going to take while they're here before we move on to you guys.
Sure.
So David has asked, what happens if you fail a module? Now, of course, we will have supported you the whole way through, so we're hoping that doesn't happen. But what will happen is that there's a process for how you retake things. So basically, as soon as you find out your results, you will also be told what would happen if you failed. Essentially, it's going to be in the next module, you'll retake the section that you failed, and then you'll do another accreditation call. What I'm not going to do is go through kind of massive amounts of detail in this Q&A, because actually all this information will be in that welcome module, and I don't want to bombard you. You're going to want to see it all written down. So that's there. Lauren has asked, will everyone's modules be specific to them, or what do we need to do grow based on this welcome self-assessment? Okay, great question, Lauren. I haven't read that out well at all. I'm very sorry. You've written it much more beautifully than I had said. Basically, you'll be given directives in your welcome call, which are about what you need to do, but the actual module content that you'll review will be the same for everyone. However, what will be personalized is that your mentor might say, look, I really want you to focus on watching this video because I've seen it's an area that I'd love you to improve. So there'll be some of that personalized journey through there from your mentor, but we're all going to be working through and seeing the same thing. Now, they're the only 2 questions for the moment, so I'm hoping that I explained that fairly okay, which is wonderful news. So I think it's probably time to, now we've done that overview, go on to a bit about expectations. So, Chris, Eddie, this is for you guys. We know that being a master colour expert is an incredible privilege, it's an incredible honour, and it's really only bestowed on those colourists who have achieved those high standards. So, with that in mind, what do you want to see from the community of people who are going through this programme?
Over to you, Eddie.
I suppose for me, at the moment, having a lot of different conversations with the mentors, that's what I'm currently doing, and making sure that, we're all comfortable with supporting you guys, and we all support you guys in the same way. A key point for us is Master Colour Expert is very different to other elements of education from Wella Professionals, because the question has already come up. You can fail. Mm-hmm. It's an assessment. to take it seriously from the get-go. Don't assume anything. Be the best that you can be and show the best that you want to show. It's not about being, you know, a better hairdresser than the next person. It's about being the best you can be, and to portray that, you need to take every module and every assessment seriously and submit as much information as possible.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really good point, actually. I think, you know, me and Eddie have both been through this. We've both done our Master Colour Expert. Mine was when I just started with Wella, and I guess you did yours before?
No, I just started
yeah.
Well.
So, yeah, when you start with Wella, you have to go through quite an intensive training program. And as a hairdresser, like, I always felt like in the salon, there was nothing that I couldn't face. Like, I was always quite busy, or my clients were hopefully happy with the results that they got. And I really felt like, yeah, I'm a good hairdresser. And then when I started at Wella, I was like, oh my God, I don't know anything. Because, like, in the same way that when you start with Wella, you go through an intensive training course, the Master Colour Expert is kind of exactly the same setup. And there are going to be times when you're like, oh my God, I feel like I almost know too much information. So I think, and that's something that I had, you suddenly have this whole world of products. Like in my salon, when I was working, we didn't have every single product that was available in Wella Professionals. And I think one expectation from us is, you know, we don't expect you to go out and buy every single product, although that would be great. But like, try and push yourself, like find out, you know, if you don't use Illumina Color, or if you've not used Colorsome Perfect Me Plus yet, or, you know, Color Fresh isn't your best friend now, try and find a way that you can try out new products and have a bit of a play, because this is your opportunity to kind of do that. But I think as well, like, you are going to feel overwhelmed at times, but just kind of, as if you know that's what's going to happen, and you can prepare yourself for those times where you do feel a bit overwhelmed, and just be like, do you know what? They did say I was going to feel like this. So that for me is like an expectation that you potentially need to place into your head now, is you're going to be like, oh, this is going to be not a horrible experience or anything, but it's going to be a change of pace, because you're going to be doing this alongside your everyday life, working in the salon. And it's like, I'm terrible with computers, so it's kind of hilarious that I work on this project, really. But for me, I've come such a long way with, you know, developing my computer skills. And if something like your computer skills aren't super strong, luckily the platform's really easy to navigate, but maybe just kind of get practiced, or spend a little bit of time looking at the welcome module as well. I think as well, sorry, I've completely taken over now. It's the Chris show. But don't be afraid to make mistakes. Like, you're going to be getting some amazing feedback from your mentors, and they, you know, they want to coach you and they want to help you. And if you've got loads of questions, like, sometimes making mistakes can actually be a really good way of learning stuff. So, you know, that's not new information. I'm sure it's not like I've just given you an epiphany, but it'd be great to have a bit of a play with new products and new techniques and things like that. And I think importantly, this course is designed to build you as a stylist, and also build your column in the salon. You know, we want you to come away feeling like, this has really made an impact to my life, and it's really built your confidence as a hairdresser and as a person, all round, really. Like, you know, it can help build your, you know, I don't want to give too much away about the course or whatever, but it's going to have lots of different aspects which build you in different ways. And it could be social media, it could be your technical skills. So really just kind of embrace everything as much as possible, and kind of just throw yourself into it.
Great advice there. Great advice.
Yeah, launch into it, but also really enjoy it, because being an MCE, it really is like, it's a pleasure, and it's the things that you get exposed to when you're a part of the alumni community is really exciting, and it's something that it applies in every single country around the world. It's recognized, so, you know, just embrace it and celebrate it as well, and share it with all your friends and family, and tell them what you're up to. Anything else?
Yeah, Eddie, anything from you?
I suppose for me, a key part is know what you want from it. Set yourself goals, set yourself challenges. MCE, both online and in studio, is a coaching experience and a guided learning experience, be it online or face-to-face with somebody like Chris or I. It's never directional learning. It's something that you can take from this so much, or you can walk away and go, I ticked that box and it was grand. To be very Irish about it, it was fine. Or you can walk away and go, I challenged myself. I've made myself better. So the best advice, I suppose, to do that I can give you is set yourself some amazing goals, some very clear goals, and help your mentor help you. You will have these amazing opportunities to have one-to-ones with your mentors. Make sure you're prepared. Make sure you're ready. Make sure you have an outcome planned from your mentors. Don't go into a call and sit and go, what have you got from me? Arrive and go, this is what I want from you. Challenge your mentor. That's how you will get information back.
Ask them advice and ask them for tips and tricks, or say, I thought my model would actually come out like this, but it actually ended up coming like this. I'm still happy with it, but I don't fully know exactly why it has kind of changed direction. And they will be able to help you with and guide you in that way.
Absolutely.
To pick up on the point earlier about will the module be personalized, I think, you're absolutely right, Perri. The module is set in the fact that everyone does the same thing, so we can assure it's completely fair. But Eddie, I'm sure you agree, whenever we've taught people in the studio, everybody takes away a completely different thing from each day. You'll have one person that's like, oh my God, I'm so hungry for like the science information, and they kind of lap it up and they want to ask more, and they ask us questions and we're like, God, I've never even considered that. Or I don't know the answer to that. I better go and ask Eddie because he might know the answer. And then you'll have some people who have no interest in the science whatsoever. And they just really want the creative side. They want to be like this, avant-garde, like rule breaker, and they want to do crazy things. And you get all of these people in different walks of life, celebrating different aspects of the course. So everyone will take something different from the course, is basically what I'm trying to say. So in a way, you'll naturally personalize it yourself.
Amazing.
And share with us as well, like share with your mentor the bits that you really loved. Tell us, what you want more of, or, what you've really got the most out of, because that'd be really useful, especially for me as a designer, to know how we can always develop projects and stuff within the platform.
Amazing. Thank you for that, guys. I think there were some really key points there. I think, Eddie, when you talked about setting goals, I think that's something that I want to reiterate as well. So in the welcome module, you're going to be asked to set your goals. There's going to be a video actually, which is kind of 20 minutes actually, about someone else, a hairstylist just like you, setting their goals. And the reason this is incredibly important for you is that you haven't just invested in this course because you want the title or because you want to be a master color expert. It's also because you want it to help your career. And so if your mentor knows exactly what you're trying to get with this course, they can help you do it. And so again, that kind of element of personalization comes with the more detailed you are with your goals. Super, super, super important. So please do set your goals. I think the point on mindset as well is really important. Coming into this with the right frame of mind, making sure actually you are willing to challenge yourself, you're willing to push yourself. I imagine that when a client comes, when they've asked for a master color expert, they're going to expect someone of this incredible caliber who is able and willing to do that. So super important there. And we've got some questions that I'm going to answer now. So we have, there's a technical question from Amy here, which I can answer, which is about, what if I'm not that computer savvy? Will I be able to get help uploading my pictures? It's a really good point, Amy. Photographs and descriptions of your work are incredibly important on this course. We are going to need you to document exactly what you do so that your mentor can see how brilliant you are. However, I need you to know that there's a whole team of people at Mastered who are basically dedicated to helping you on your journey. And so if you are stuck, you just have to reach out and ask. So the email address I'll share with you at the end. Remember that there's a human being on the end of that. So many humans here today.
There's a couple of dogs and 2 guinea pigs.
We're not staffed by hamsters. No. We're going to make sure there's someone on the end of that who can help you. So you can pick up the phone to us, and if you're struggling, you just need to ask. The hamster won't help that, but we absolutely will. So Amy, I hope that helps. We will absolutely be able to help you upload your pictures.
If I can do it, anybody can. I tell you, like, I'm terrible with computers. So
yeah, do you know what? so Master, we've been working with creatives for the last 5 years, and we have designed this experience specifically for creatives because we know we all need and want different things. We need things to look beautiful. We need things to be simple. So we have absolutely tried to build that into the experience because I know that's the kind of people that we are. So Humberto has asked about whether you will require certain different types of models for the assessments. And again, I can answer that because yes, we're going to be setting clear guidelines in each module of what kind of model you're going to need. Now, we did send out an email in December with some details about your module 1 model. What we can do is we can attach that to the email that we'll send out tomorrow to make sure you guys have all got that in case for any reason that you missed that. And then we've got some questions here about Wella. So this is for you guys to answer. So Emma's asked, what if you're a Wella colour house, but you're not product wise? And there's another question about it's basically a question. There's a couple of questions around will we need to use Wella products?
Yes, please.
Yes.
I think absolutely. Like I think the overarching kind of thing is the fact that you're going to be a Wella master color expert, and so it is a very firm expectation that you will be using Wella products because, you know, myself and Eddie will be transparent. We've worked with different manufacturers, we work with different brands. We've got quite a broad, you know, range of knowledge in those areas, but we're not here to assess another manufacturer's products. We really want you to fall in love as well with using Wella products. So.
And I suppose from your mentor's perspective as well, if there's a mix, different products or product houses are unique and they can give different results. And if I'm not 100% aware if I'm not an expert as such in how that works, I don't know if it's right or wrong, so I can't assess it or I can't guide you or I can't coach you from there.
Yeah.
Excellent. And we've got another question about whether the course is going to cover some of the basics of Wella. So that's from David. And again, another question which was around what happens if you're very good at something very technical, but not good at something quite basic? Will that still be okay? So I guess I would love to kind of get your guys' thoughts on like how advanced this course is. And if you could just talk about that. And also if there's certain elements that people are a little bit stuck with, what you would say to them.
I think, do you want me to answer this or do you want to?
If you have something, go ahead and I'll see if I can.
We'll see what we can offer. So, there's going to be times which you are really challenged. If it was easy, it wouldn't be worth doing. But also, we don't launch you into the deep end with no help or support. Like Perri was saying, Mastered have got an amazing kind of team over there that they're going to help you for more of like the platform and the technical side and uploading and bits and pieces like that. And then on our side, you've got your mentors. But within the platform, and you'll see, I think it's in the welcome module, isn't it, Perri, where you see all the kind of documentation on all the different products you've got in there. The Colorcraft book, which is like a Wella technique Bible, if you like. And it's got everything in there that tells you kind of the Wella way, if you like. So how you put a foil in, what Colliston Perfect does, mixing ratios, guideline, like you've got all the information. It's on you to read it, basically. And then the platform is designed in a way like Mastered and Wella, I think, have done a pretty good job of creating this. Mastered are really good at creating this like user journey. And that's why we've reached out and worked with them, because
just pat yourself on the back then,
well, I mean, I've just supplied the information and helped with, you know, course content, but effectively it's something that Perri and we sit in meetings very regularly, and I say, well, what about this? And she's, well, like that would be good, but we should do it this way because this is about the user journey. And so the whole program is flowed, is that the right word? In a way that helps you build your knowledge. Each module relates back to something you previously learned, and you're not just going in from stylist level, now you're master color expert. It's about like an upward curve, if that makes sense. Yeah.
That makes sense. I hope that answered. I hope that answered the questions that were here. Again, if it didn't, don't worry. What you can do is that you can ask support at Mastered afterwards, and we can check in and make sure that you have got everything. Now, Greg has asked a question about if I'm stuck with a formulation, is there help? So yeah, basically, as part of your accreditation calls, there's going to be room for you to ask mentors questions. And then if at some point during your case study that you're doing on your human model or on your head block, if you have a question, yeah, you can get in touch with us, and basically we will get you an answer from the guys at Wella Professionals. So yes, basically, there is support.
Yeah.
Jenna's asked very specifically about whether they're going to learn more about the new KP plus me, which I'm definitely sure I've said wrong.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's, well, maybe you do this one. You take this one because you teach it more.
On the welcome module, there is, as Chris said, very specific brand information designed as a refresher. Throughout the course, we don't necessarily go deep into the content of this is what it is, how to use it, but we do very much show people how to maximize it, how to grow it, what else can it do? Not so much the essential, but the what's more. We do have content in the likes of Wella.com that will give you like the basic information, but we will have, you'll get to see the color in action as such.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got different guest artists that are working with the products, and they'll be sharing with you their color mixtures and their techniques and all that kind of stuff. So although, yeah, we don't have like a deep dive specifically in one particular brand, we do constantly talk about it, and you see people using it.
Cool. And that is one thing that is great about online is obviously our incredible cameramen and women can get up incredibly close to how the products are being used, which is a lot closer than you're, I imagine, allowed to get in person. Probably not that okay to get that close to the mentor when you're actually in the studio, which is a real benefit here. So we have a couple of other questions that are all on the theme of mentoring. So we've got a question which is around how can I find out actually the profile and the biography of who my mentor is. I can answer that. We're going to be sending that out to all of those guys next week. We didn't send it out with the actual times. We wanted to make sure you got that time in your diary. But yes, that information we can absolutely give to you, no problem at all. There was another question about someone who hasn't got their mentor times. Again, I believe one of the master team has answered you in the questions. So we will get on to you about that tomorrow. I think we've covered all of those mentor questions. I'm just going to check. I believe we have covered all those mentor questions. So I don't think there is anything from you guys. The last question here is around, shall we have about related science modules? And again, I can answer that. So in every single module, there is science. So rather than there being a dedicated science module and a dedicated creative module, they're all blended in together. So you get a mix of science and creative all in one go. So I'm going to leave some of the other questions for after we've gone to the next part, because it is time to move on. So this section, we wanted to include, we wanted to talk about how learning online might be a little bit different to learning in person, and how you guys are gonna do that. Because again, we want to make sure you're accredited. We want to make sure you have an incredibly successful journey, and a big part of that is actually making sure that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing at the time. That does mean that you're going to be responsible for your education. It's not going to be some parent saying to you, you haven't done this, you haven't done this. It is very much about yourself. So I would love for you guys to share in the comment section any experiences that you've had, either about learning online or about just generally doing professional education around work and around family. Have you done it before? If so, what was the best thing that you did? Is there anything that you would do differently? Is there anything that you wish you'd done that you didn't? It'd be really, really useful if you guys can share that, and I will read those out in a bit. But for now, I'm just going to pass over to Chris and Eddie and see, what about you guys? Have you got any advice for these, for our participants about how they should be learning online?
First?
I'm not going to go first because you told me some of your advice, and I'm afraid I'm going to repeat you, Chris. So do you want to go first?
Yeah, I overshared. I was like, what are you going to talk about? What's your advice? Well, I guess like anyone, myself and Eddie have quite demanding jobs. We do work long hours and we get to do some really exciting things. I manage photo shoots all over the world, and I get to work with people from different parts of the world, which means I have to be awake at different times. Eddie travels all over the world constantly. So are you jet lagged at the moment? I don't think you are jet lagged at the moment. No, you've managed to survive that one. For me, the way I handle stress or like staying on track, it's not been an easy journey. I'm quite disorganized, but what I've discovered, what works for me personally, is really just being really transparent and really communicating to people when I'm working with them what I really want from them and what they need from me. So let's say over the next kind of 4 months, 4 or 5 months, you're going to be starting a journey where at times you are going to have to commit yourself at different times when, maybe you might have to, work in the evening or something, or you might have to give up a Saturday morning to do a bit of work, or you might have to set some time aside, that's not easy to say, to have a call with your mentor. So like, speak to your manager about what your kind of plan is to do that. Just communicate with people and ask people in advance, if you've got a big project coming up, say to them, what is it you need me to give you in that time, so you can build that into your diary. It's just being really open with people and saying like, what is my actual genuine time when I can do the work? And if you haven't got time to do something, then like just really say like, I haven't got time to do that. That's what I found. It's like the power of saying no is actually, it's kind of hard because I'm a bit of a yes person. I'm like, yeah, no problem, I can do that for you. And then I'm up until 5 a.m. on a Sunday morning doing work. So that's something I've had to manage. Saying no is good. And I find as well, I'm babbling on a bit here, but the people who are closest to me tend to suffer. So I think if I am busy, then I might have to, not spend as much time with my husband, or I might not be able to attend a party or something like that. So actually, I think if I'm more organized, which is something I've had to be, then I'm still able to have those commitments, but just in a different way. So yeah, and be patient with people. Be nice to people. You'll be fine.
How do I follow that?
Emotional. I mean, on top of, buy a diary and all that kind of stuff.
I suppose my 2 key points are quite simple, but quite effective. I think maybe when you get to my age, I'm only 33, I'm not that old, but
I'm 36, your age.
But it's a long time since I've been in an educational scenario for a long period of time. And, this is quite a period of time. It's not a 2-day course. So don't forget your basics. Eat, sleep, and take breaks.
Yeah.
Don't cram it all into the last weekend. When you see the platform, it has on the, to wave my hand, left-hand side, it has like the structure of what's in the module. So map it out, plan it out a little bit. But I always think, breaks are important. Time to yourself is important, and focus time in the project is important. But make sure you eat, take your breaks, sleep, fresh air, go back to all your basics of when you were learning. But another key point, and this is something, one of these two I'm very guilty of and teaching MCE, I used to always see this. You have 2 types of people in the world: the wing it person and the planner. So the wing it person does no planning and they'll get by and they'll pass. Yeah. And then you have people who are like me, who are planning, but then they're planning the planning, and then they've planned the plan. They've planned to plan the planning. Yeah. So it's about finding the balance of your strategy, your plan, focused on your outcome. So keeping what you want from this at the back of your mind, getting it done, but, plan out well, but don't over plan it.
Eddie, just so you know, is the kind of person who loves to like put everything in a folder and have everything super neat and tidy. And I'm always like writing on the back of an envelope. So like, it's kind of hilarious that we work together. I guess we kind of work in that way. But whatever works for you.
Do you know what? I think exactly what you just finished with there was a really important point. Is it's you and Eddie are very different in how you manage your work and how you manage your time. I think for every single person taking this course, they're going to work differently. So it's very much about knowing whether you're the person who tries to wing it, or whether you're the person that has to plan, or whatever type of person you are, really understanding and being honest with yourself about how you work best. There's some really good advice that has come in the comments, so I'm gonna share some of that. So Hair Rebel has said that it's really super helpful to have a planner with all the dates in. They plan monthly and then weekly to make sure they don't miss anything. I think that's a really, really good piece of advice for this course specifically. As I showed you in the beginning of that overview, in every core module, there are 6 weeks. And it's almost like in each one of those 6 weeks, there's something that you should be doing. So actually you can look at that at the beginning of the module and go, right, well, this is what I need to do in week 1. And this is what I need to do in week 6. And so really you can plan like that. And so you can plan out your days. I think that's a really good piece of advice. Covered Curls has said that you need to focus. And for them, that was about being in a space with no distractions. Again, I think it's another piece of great advice that we've definitely seen a lot at Mastered, that the people who are trying to do their kind of coursework or watch videos at the same time as also trying to manage a salon or be on set or any of those things, it really does require some focus. And so whether it's kind of a quiet room that you can shut yourself in at the back of the salon, or whether you're doing it at home, I would really think about being very mindful and focusing time and attention on what you're doing. It's so easy to be watching a video and also be on Instagram and trying to cook dinner and do all those other things. It's something that we all do. I'm guilty of it as well. But because this learning is so important and because you are going to be tested on it, I would really make sure that you are being mindful and focusing on that. So another great piece of advice here. She also said, tell your friends and family. I think that's a good point. And that comes back to what you said, Chris, about actually just making them aware of the fact that things may be changing for them over the next kind of couple of months. Your decision to take this course may mean there isn't going to be dinner on the table every single night, or there isn't going to be so much spare time. If you can set those expectations at the beginning of the course, then 2 months in, when you are having to focus on it, then actually everyone knows where they stand and they expected it. These guys are good. There's some good things here. I'm very, very pleased.
Really good advice.
I think we should have swapped places.
Yeah.
Maybe get people.
I'm like scribbling all this down as we're going along.
And Alexandra has said it's around prioritizing.
Yeah.
There's usually time. There always is. It might have to come to personal time. Again, I think that's an incredibly great piece of advice. Mark, when I was thinking about what I might say in this point about how I prioritize my own time and my own learning and development, and I would say the thing that I have done badly in the past is not prioritize it. Because I've said it's really important that I do this course, or it's really important that I learn this thing, but I don't actually prioritize it. I say it's a priority, but the actually doing of it is very different. So I'm not necessarily turning down that dinner in the week because actually I want to focus on my learning, or I'm not, again, going off Instagram and actually reading the article I wanted to read. Prioritizing is a hell of a lot more than just putting it at number 1 on the to-do list. It does sometimes mean saying no. And Chris, again, you mentioned that you're someone, it's so easy to say yes because you want to help everyone. But actually, when it comes to prioritizing this course, sometimes you might have to say no. But no, it's because you care and you want to become this incredible master color expert. So it will be worth it. And that small piece of sacrifice will be worth it. I'm trying to think. Okay, that's most of the advice from here. Thank you so much for sharing that, guys. Do keep sharing it so that your fellow stylists can see that. I just wanted to flag there are a couple of other questions that I didn't answer, which were around the head block. The reason I haven't answered those, and I haven't asked Chris and Eddie to answer those, is because depending on where you are in the world, there's going to be a different answer. So what we'll do is after this call, we're going to look through all the comments and we will email you and make sure that your question is answered. But because it's going to be very personalised, depending on if you're based in Australia or in the UK, we'll deal with that then. Guys, is there anything that you wanted to add on the learning online, managing your time, anything like that?
No, I'm just like, I suppose the big message is here, you're your own boss, you know, so, you know, push yourself, and because there's nobody else that's going to say, come on, you haven't done this, or, you know, this isn't done. So you're your own boss. So make it happen.
And like, this is something that's going to stay with you for the rest of your professional career. So like, make the most of it, get the most out of it. And yeah, just enjoy it. And just, I hope you're really excited to be part of it, because we're really excited to have you.
Yeah, very much so. So I guess we've gone through those three areas: the overview of the course, what expectations these guys have, and then also how to manage your time learning online. There were three sections there. So I would say now, if you have got any other random questions, now is the time to ask. Again, some of them I might say that's going to be answered in the welcome module, or I might say we're going to answer that one-to-one. Throw them in there now, and I'm going to start making my way through. Melanie, a couple of people have actually put on here around them being worried about missing important information because they're not good with computers, they're not good with phones. The advice, again, I would have for you here is it's our job to try and keep things as simple as possible for you. So we will go above and beyond to do that. I would say just two bits of advice from me. One is read your emails. When you get an email from Mastered, it's going to have something for you to do or for you to action from it. We're definitely not going to be bombarding you with a load of rubbish that you don't need to know. We spend a lot of time thinking about what you need to know when. So if we are communicating with you, it is for a good reason. So do read your emails. Things will be on there. The second piece of advice there is that in every module, there's a very clear section which just says things to do in this module. Those 5 things that I mentioned, the studying the materials, the taking the test, the doing the model assessment, the taking your head block challenge, and taking your accreditation call. They'll be there in black and white. Make sure you read it, make sure you see, but it should be quite obvious. Again, if you definitely don't know what you're supposed to be doing, ask the question, we're here to answer. Actually, another point, something that I spotted earlier was actually around dyslexia and what happens if you're someone who's dyslexic. Now, we've been training creatives for the last 5 years, and I feel like the majority of people who have been training are dyslexic. And so do not worry. Again, we think very carefully about this when we're devising online courses. We're thinking about the different mediums through which we tell information. Eddie, is there anything there that you want to?
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm quite dyslexic.
And how have you found watching those videos and going through those materials?
The material, it's not all one source of information, so it's not all reading, it's not all practical, it's not all videos. It's a nice mix, so you get like little breaks in the design. So I came to from capabilities, I came into it quite near the end when it was almost finished, and I have to say hat off to you guys for what you did. Thanks. Because it was so easy for me.
Excellent, amazing. So another question, this one's from Humberto. He's basically talking about whether or not he will have to do 1 hour a day from Monday to Friday. Now, you absolutely don't need to do it like that. You don't need to dedicate 1 hour a day. It might be that you would like to dedicate an afternoon a week, or it might be an entire day over 2 weeks. Again, as we said, think about what's going to be right for you, and that's going to be the best way for you to take this course.
I think, just kind of use the welcome module. It's a pretty good example of how the whole course is structured. So see how you get on with it. I tend to be either kind of quite all or little. Like I'll watch a little bits and pieces here, and then I might throw myself completely into it for a whole afternoon. So like like allow yourself, if you're like, you just want to go on and just see a bit of inspiration, you're not feeling particularly too like focused that day, but you still want to be like keeping up with the module and having a look and seeing what's going on, then just kind of have a bit of a, you know, scroll through it and see what's going on. And then other days be really, really focused.
Nice. Now we've got a question here which is around, does it matter when in the module the model assessment is done versus when the head block is done? So do you have any recommendations on whether they do their model first or their head block first? Does that matter to you guys?
Again, it all depends on how you feel you are going to be the better at the point that you feel the most confident to achieve it. I would tend to say don't leave either till the last minute. Like I would tend to think like, okay, you've got 6 weeks, so I kind of want to have everything pretty much done by the end of the 4th week. In terms, that's kind of how I would work. And then if you've got like your computer dies or you haven't quite got the right photographs or your model cancels, you've still got like 10 days or so until you can, you know, have to finish off the bits and pieces. Whereas if you do your model like the night before and think, oh, I'll just quickly upload it, and then she cancels, you're kind of in a bit of a sticky situation. So yeah, that's how I would do it, but everyone does it in a different way.
I'm very keen on that advice. Doing things earlier is definitely going to be the best way. Of course, manage time, but again, you never know what will happen.
Yeah.
Before this Q&A, I was working out what the scenario was. If what happens if my internet goes down, if you plan for the worst, it means that at least you've got something to do. It is worth saying here, those accreditation calls, they are compulsory. They're part of the exam. You do have to turn up to them. You do have to do the work. They're not just something that you can just kind of go, oh, I don't fancy doing that today. They're a crucial part of this. So you are going to need to take them. So preparing and being in advance, very, very much recommended. A couple of other questions here. A couple of questions that actually are about communicating with other participants on the course. Yes, you absolutely can. So there's 2 ways that you're going to be able to do this. There's 3 ways. So one is that under every single lesson, you'll be able to comment and talk about it. So you guys can ask each other questions about the subject matter. Or you can query, oh, what does this mean in relation to my scenario? And you guys can talk there. You can also talk in the project section of the website. So you can see people's work and you can comment and discuss on that. Again, it's really good to be able to see what other people are doing and share how that works. And then thirdly is on social media. And there is a hashtag, which I do not have on me, but I have got at the bottom of the emails. And this is actually a hashtag for the whole Master Colour Expert community. And so if you want to share your work, your journey, not just with the people on this program, but with the kind of the global community of Master Colour experts, there's a hashtag that you can use there too.
Just to add in there, Perri, we are currently looking at, you know, from a Wella perspective, is there something that we can do that we have a bit more of an exclusive platform? So watch this space.
Oh, exciting time.
So some really detailed, some detailed questions here. Around where can I find out what is needed for the course. Now this information was sent out in an email, but what we'll do, Melanie, is check whether or not you received it. If you didn't, we'll make sure you have it. Again, if you've got questions that are kind of really specific, what I might do is say that we're going to contact you after this. Please feel free to put them down now. We do have Oscar Lewis, feels a bit lost. I would say to you, as I would say to every single other person on this course, please do not worry. We will be your guide. We are here to tell you what you need to do when. Do not worry. If you wanted to catch up with us afterwards, do not worry. One, probably that information is on an email somewhere, but if it's not, again, you can just ask us the question. I'm going to make sure we contact you afterwards because I want to make sure you don't feel lost. That's absolutely not how anyone taking your master program should feel. And yeah.
Am I right in thinking, Perri, that you're going to send this webinar out to people again so they can watch it through?
Yes,
yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Justine has asked a question about, is there anything they need to plan to purchase? Is it just a head block? I can say that, yes, it's just a head block. And of course, any of the products that you would want to use. Actually, a little piece of advice that I do remember us talking about in a meeting a couple of months ago, which was around when to buy products for your model. And I believe, and please correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but the advice was when you're looking at your when you're looking at your model and trying to think about what you're going to be doing, have that first consultation and then head out and go and either buy the products or go to the salon and pick them out. Because actually you want to really think about your model, the kind of hair she has, what she wants from the actual brief, and do that before you go and actually spend any money. Is that the right advice, guys? Have I said the right thing there?
Yeah, I think to an extent, absolutely. I think there's always going to be products that you're going to need. So like you're always going to need developer, Welloxon Perfect Developer. You're always going to need, let's say, blonde or multi-blonde powder. Like you're going to need like pretty certain like staple
bleach.
Yeah, bleach. You're going to need, I don't know, like shampoos and conditioners, like Invigo, post-treatment service conditioner, and things like that. Blonde or sealing care. There's certain products that we all know and love, and you're gonna end up using them. But one thing I really want to like. This kind of goes back to my expectation as well. If you always use 6-stroke 7 on every single person, like I will find you and I will get you. No, like try and like use something a bit different, like. If you always use the same shade, like that's not going to stretch you as a person. So we need you to, have a think. I think that's great advice, Perri. Like have a look and see what the model, has and see what would be great for them. And then think, how else could I create that color by using something different? So if like, I know, for example, I always love a particular special blonde, but like what happens if I mix 2 special blondes to create that? What result would that give me? That's not a particularly great example, but you see where I'm going with it. And I have another piece of advice that's just popped into my head. Do you want me to save that till later, or do you want me to go through that now, Perri?
Let's do it now. I mean, I'm going to throw it out there, guys. We're going to run over time a little bit. Sorry.
I'll shut up.
We're going to do 5 minutes more just to round everything off. We're finished.
It's related because there's lots of questions about the head block, and the head block is a really big part of your master color expert. Like people, fear it in when they do the studio head block and oh God, the head block challenge or whatever.
I cried.
Eddie cried. These things happen. The head block kind of is the master color expert, but equally important to that is, all your models and your exams and all that kind of stuff. But I think because as hairdressers, we always, feel like we can do hair, but perhaps we're not great at exams. But then when we're faced with like an actual technical, difficult challenge, you're like, oh God, this is a bit nervous because this is really testing kind of who I am as a hairdresser. And yes, you can absolutely talk to other people about, or what would you do on that section? And they'd say, oh, well, I would use, Blondor and, 12%. I mean, don't do that. Do this or what I would say is, talk to each other about what you would use. Talk to people who have done it in the past maybe and ask what they use. It doesn't mean that you would get the same result they got. Yes, you all get the same head block. Yes, you could all use exactly the same product in exactly the same, same way or whatever. But something you'll learn about in the course is how we actually see color. And, you might find you get a different result. So, kind of cheat or whatever and find out from other people what they use doesn't always mean that you're going to pass your head block. So really think about the science behind what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Amazing.
Great
advice. And I love that Krista has just posted that she's excited for the head block challenge. She knows it's going to push her, but she can't wait. Krista. Excellent.
It's so much fun.
There's there's a couple of questions just to finish off around how many models and how many head blocks that we will need. 1 head block, you'll be able to do each challenge on a different section. And I believe we're going to be needing 4 models. So that is 1 model for module 1.
Yeah.
1 model for module 2, and 2 models for module 3. And they're human models.
And the human models.
Human models, as opposed to anyone else. I have to wrap this up there, guys, because I'm super aware we're running a little bit over. Everyone here is busy. Everyone's got professional careers and lives to go on with. So just to remind you that if there's any questions on here that we haven't answered, do not worry. As a team, we're going to go through them tomorrow, and we'll make sure you get the answers that you want. Don't worry about that.
Or make a note of them and ask them to ask your mentor as well. That's another thing you could do.
And so I guess the last thing is just, I'm going to say some practical stuff. Is there anything that you guys want to leave the Q&A with, Chris and Eddie, before I say the last bit?
Have a bloody brilliant time. Enjoy it. Enjoy the program.
Enjoy it. It is really good fun, and it will change your life. Hopefully for the better.
Beautiful. So some last things from me. We've got about 2 weeks now before the course starts. So there's a couple of things that I would love you guys to do. One is put the times and dates of your accreditation calls in your diary. Like, write it in big red pen, cross it, swirl it, whatever you need to do, write it in capital letters, put that in there right now. If you don't know the time and date of your mentor call, please put your hand up now. We're going to make sure you have that information. You should have it, but you never know, just in case. Please do that. The second thing is that there's a part of the self-assessment which is going to ask you to share some of your workings out on a client that you're working on. So we would love you to basically either, whether you're doing foils or doing balayage, we would love you to take a photo of your client before, 3 shots during, and 1 after. I'm going to put this all down in an email for you tomorrow. So for those furiously taking notes, don't worry. But basically, we wanted to give you a little bit of a heads up on that, because I didn't want you to come into the welcome module and suddenly go, oh no, I have to do this one thing. So if over the next couple of weeks you're working with someone, foils or balayage, take a photo before, during, and after, and that's just going to give your mentor a little bit more information about you, how you work, so that they can do that welcome call brilliantly. Again, please do not worry, it will be in an email. Everything that you need will come after this. Just a little heads up there. So thank you ever so much for being part of us. Eddie, Chris, you were fantastic. Obviously, I get to see you on a weekly basis, but it was really nice for the guys at home to actually see your faces. Last time, Eddie, you were on the phone, and it was just your dulcet tones. So this time, that was great. Thank you to everyone who has taken part in this live Q&A. These things only work when you ask questions. It's always really weird if you don't, so it's very again, it sets us up very well for the course, because you're going to have to do stuff in the course, so I'm glad that you've taken on that now. Look at all these guys saying thank you. You're very kind. Last thing to say is that it sounds really trite, but look, we are here. If at any point over the next couple of months you're sitting either in your room or your salon and you're thinking, I just feel quite alone right now, please just drop us a line. We might not be in the studio with you as you take this course. However, we are all here doing this together. We're all going on an incredibly exciting journey. You guys are the first people in the whole world to do this. So you're not only potential and future master colour experts, you're some of the first digital first master colour experts in the world. And that's an accolade that no one will ever be able to take away from you, and no one will ever be able to have again. So I'm incredibly delighted to be going on this very special journey with you guys. Chris and Eddie, I know you guys are too.
I can't wait.
So much. And we will leave you now, and we will see you in the classroom in a couple of weeks' time. Oh, I don't have
Sorry.
Okay, I'm going to say goodbye.
Thanks, Perri.
Lovely. You need to.
See you guys soon.